everybody. Welcome back to Let's Talk About the Real Shit. I am Naomi, and I've got my partner in crime next to me, Lori.
Hey, everybody.
And we have a special guest in the house tonight. We're super excited because he's our neighbor, first and foremost. Hi, Manny.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good. So Manny here is our neighbor, and he is doing some pretty amazing stuff, and we immediately heard about it and wanted to share with you guys what he's up to. But before we do that, we are going to go into Lori's badass thought of the day.
Hey, everybody. Today it's really, really a simple one. It's change your mind, change your life. It's all about our attitude and our perception and where we want to put our energy. You can choose to be in misery or you can choose to be in joy. It's all up to you.
Yeah, it's like the T-shirt phrase you came up with. You are the common denominator in all your suffering.
True story.
That's what it makes me think of. Awesome. All right, we're going to get right into it today, guys, because we're excited about what Manny's doing, because this could potentially change a lot of people's lives for the better. First off, Manny, tell us what you do.
Well, I am an electrical engineer. I graduated from University of Nevada in Reno. Then I followed after getting my bachelor's degree, getting the master's in electrical engineering. And most of my studies in electronics and frequency wave technology and some computer science.
Awesome. That's definitely something to be credited for. Yes. Where do you come from originally, Manny?
I'm originally from Iran. I came to U.S. Right after high school for higher education. And as you all know, the history that there was a revolution. And because of that, I decided that I'm much better off in U.S. After I got my education, a few years later, I got married and had kids and got very much busy into the, just the business world and life in U.S. and have had a great life.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad we're neighbors. He's fun.
Well, you guys are fun too.
We all do happy hour once a week, or at least once every other week. It's pretty fun.
Thursday nights.
Yes. So tell us, Manny, you kind of told us a story about your discovery and how you invented this new light. We'll just say it now. He invented a new light. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's me, and also I have a business partner that has been involved with this project with me for about several years now. Hab Martin is a college mate of mine that we both went to the engineering school together. After we both graduated from electrical engineering department, he continued his education in physics. And he has a PhD in quantum physics. And he is very much also involved in plant and just in general how to grow plants and plant genesis. So him and I are actually our partners on this product and the invention. A few years ago, we realized that there is a huge need into indoor growing of product. And specifically at that time, the focus was cannabis market.
Right.
And as the cannabis is becoming more legal and legalized, and actually it's been legalized for medical marijuana, has been legalized for decades now. So we realized that there is a big market there. As at that time, most indoor growers were using variety of different lights, and still it was generating massive amount of electrical bill.
So I just want to interject right there because I know a little bit of the story. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you even came about developing this product, and then maybe go into what the actual product is?
Sure. Well, I had an investment rental, and my personal experience with it was that when the renter moved out, I got a leftover bill from electrical company that was in excess of $5,000. At first, I thought it was a mistake. So I contacted the company and tried to find out why, or is it a mistake? They said actually not. And they informed me that lots of indoor marijuana growers have high bills. And when I checked my basement, I realized that he had an extensive, wirings going on, electrical, different lights. So that's how I actually personally encountered that situation with the indoor growth. So our technology is, we realized that this high cost, we realized that if we could pick up this direct light and convert it to wavelengths, eliminate the heat link, we can still create photogenesis, which is in every plant, they have photoreceptors. And by delivering those waves, those wavelengths, we can grow those plants much faster with much less electrical consumption, because now we are utilizing wave technology instead of direct heat. We also, by eliminating the heat, we eliminated all the other sources that you had to keep the room cool, to keep the temperature right for the growth. So with this technology, we reduced an average of $5,000 electrical bill monthly to $5.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow. And you were talking about the wavelengths of the plants, and we did a little research, looked into it, just basic Google searching people.
Fact-finding.
Fact-checking. Manny. But your light, your device uses specific wavelengths to hit the plants exactly during each stage of growth that they're needing. To grow a plant, how fast? How fast do plants grow with your light?
Well, it all depends on what stage the plant or how you're starting it. If you're starting from the seed, from plant to plant, again, the results could vary. But our experience with the cannabis industry has been within a matter of 30 days from seed, you could actually, in most cases, get to the results. And within 14 days, we experienced leaves as creating like 9 to 13 fingers as large as 16 inches long.
Wow.
So this is a massive, massive growth. And the fact of the matter is that with using our product, you don't need to use any chemical. You don't need to use all the pesticides and all the other things that most farmers in different indoor industries they utilize.
So these wavelengths, just so our listeners understand, is creating photosynthesis.
Correct. On the plantation. Look, like all of us, if you look at us as human beings, we're like plants. We all have photosensors. Mm-hmm. What is the biggest photosensors in our body?
Light? What?
In our body. Which part of our body is the biggest photosensor?
I would say skin or eyes.
Yeah.
Eyes.
Right on, Mr. Technology back in the back room. Or eyes. Our eyes are the biggest photosensors. Although that from the head to toe, we are photosensors. That's why when the light hits, we all get energized. We all get those positive protons. That's what it's all about. Plants are the same. And to create that growth, we are hitting directly with the right wavelengths those photosensors that the plants have. And that causes that genesis that we're looking for.
So with these lights and you're growing indoors, what about the pollination process that like our bees do and hummingbirds and flies? And
well, Obviously that's a natural environment, which is the nature's most profound way of populating and everything. We're talking about a controlled growth in here.
So
we're talking about private gardens.
Do you pollinate your indoor garden?
You
with your hands?
You can actually split plants. You can cut the leaves and start the new plants, so you don't have to go through that large number of the days that you have to wait for a plant to grow. So you can do lots of things that you normally do, but obviously it's not the nature. It's a confined environment. We're not going to have bees flying around.
That'd be awesome, though.
Unless if we want to open the windows once in a while.
That's funny.
So what's happened to the cannabis industry, Manny, with this light? What happened when you put this light into that world?
The cannabis industry was used to spending all that money and have a harvest every 3-4 months. With our product, we eliminated basically the electrical cost. And $5 is nothing per board. And by doing that, we also increased their harvest 12 times a year. Every month became harvest month.
Wow.
With that, the consumption remains the same, but the production increased tremendously. Economy 101. Supply and demand. We put the supply through the roof, and the demand was the demand. I mean, how much can you smoke or eat or, vape? At the end of the day, now we have enough product in Oregon that, if we all do whatever we are doing, it's going to last. The last time that I saw the data was 6 years.
Wow.
And some product is actually sitting and going bad in some warehouses. So yes, that's basically one of the results of that industry. But hey, that industry is the reason for our invention. And so that part of that vertical market is very much saturated.
Right. So, well, this could this could help everyday people like you and I living in apartments where we actually just want to sustain our lives, but we don't have pieces of property to have our gardens, or even an apartment complex that won't put up a community garden. So what could that mean that could really open up the next door or phase for your product. It sounds like to me to open up those doors for people to be able to sustain their lives.
Absolutely.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I've been talking to you and Lori and Jesse. You guys have some great ideas, and it always starts from just those great ideas at the grassroots level. Again, I'm not a retail specialist, and I always walked away from the retail market just because it is labor intense and it takes a special people to do that.
Right.
And so
we might be tapping into something new. It'd be cool to be able to prove to people that you can take your power back and fuck all the corporations and grow your own garden in your house.
So why don't you share your vision a little bit, Naomi, with our listeners?
Well, my vision is, it's pretty big picture, but just on a smaller scale, my vision would be to turn in a part of my regular living space into, I have house plants, but I would like to just have plants that grow food. So, basics like tomatoes, maybe a lime tree with the lime leaves that you can use for soups, some multi-purpose herbs, it'd be cool to have zucchini. We go through a lot of those. Just some basic stuff to just lettuce to sustain my family. And my neighbors would be super awesome through the wintertime. But it would be, the whole point of it, and when I say bigger picture, it would be to prove to people that we could sustain our lives when living in an apartment.
That's such a great idea. And it goes beyond just having groceries. It's having that freedom and that independence. And knowing that you can take care of your family no matter what the big corporations do, like Safeway or whoever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We store a lot of things like beans and rice just in case. So just to be able to cut that out to where we didn't have to go to the stores anymore. So fuck the stores that aren't going to do a garden on top of their stores to provide produce for their community. You know, it's just like you think about the way that it's getting to the grocery store. You think about us driving to the grocery store. Oh, we forgot our bags. That means more consuming, you know, with the bags. It's just a lot to it. The transportation of the vegetables getting there, you know, it's on the road with all these chemicals.
I can actually envision like future communities that we could have, totally modernized, with facilities right in part of the town, maybe centralized part of the town, a growth area that for all of the citizens. Imagine that there is
we could solve hunger.
Exactly. You solve the hunger, and if the hunger is gone, then, you know, I mean, right there, you got your people just
fending for themselves, taking care of themselves.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful vision, I think.
So, Manny, tell us a little bit about this light and the space requirements, and just so our listeners can maybe envision, A, what you've created, and B, how Naomi can turn a space in her apartment into her family garden.
Okay, if let's say talking about this space, like one of the board is very simple. It's really just plug into the wall, and you get the waves. It's everything is set up, ready to go, and we put hangers in the back of the board so you can easily hang it from the ceiling. And obviously, that length, how close it is to the plants and everything, you got to just kind of experience it every daily basis and change that. As the plant grows, you obviously want to move the apparatus to the higher elevation. Now, the space that you need for each board, you can run your own little private garden, and the retail type is 4x4, 4x8, 8x8. And you also will get the most result if you put reflectors around your little growth area, such as it could be aluminum, it could be a growth tent.
Mirrors.
Absolutely. Mirrors will be probably the best. If you could put mirrors around your growth areas, that's going to be absolutely reflecting all the waves and to the nth degree. So those are some of the great practices that you can do with just one board. And then how many plants? As much as plants as you can fit in the area.
So describe the board, because from what I've seen, it's like 24 inches by 24 inches, maybe. And what's the name of this product? And tell us why you named it.
Yes, the board is a square. It's 24 by 24. It weighs about 20 pounds, so it's not that heavy. Average person can easily pick it up and hang it and move it around. We call the board W.E.E.D 108. And W.E.E.D is W.E.E.D 108. And again, it was really a marketing decision to name it that than anything else.
But it's very descriptive, too, on what the light actually does, right?
Exactly. I mean, we were talking basically with marijuana growers, and, we needed them to understand what this is and remember it. So W.E.E.D was the easiest thing as far as a marketing tool for us. And what it stands for is wavelength emitting electronic diodes. And 108 is the number of diodes that we have on this board, which is 108 diodes that we have on these boards. So that is how the whole name and everything transpired. As a matter of fact, we had a different name, but that's another story.
Well, maybe you'll share, maybe you won't. We'll see how it all goes.
So what are some of the possibilities with this light? I would really like to tap into that a little bit, because right now the weed market isn't what it used to be. And so the weed market, I mean, like you said, we've got 6 years waiting to be smoked in the warehouses, and some of it's even going bad. So let's talk about some of the possibilities.
What are some of your dreams for this device, Manny? Where are you looking to put it, and what situations are you trying to solve?
Well, honestly, I don't believe that there is any reason for anybody to be hungry on the face of the earth. I think that
I agree.
We have we have enough right now to feed everybody as it is. And with technologies like this, there's no excuse. I mean, there are governments out there that could easily invest into this technology and feed their population. It's so much easier to do this than go buy arms and weapons, and those are more expensive than this. So my vision is that get this product to a point that is really going to help the whole globe, everybody on the face of the earth. Imagine having the ability to eat anything that you love, regardless that if it's its season, regardless if it's a local, regardless of what it is, or it's it's a winter, summer, you could have whatever you need in your garden. And I mean, those are some of the things that I envision. But again, at the end of the day, it's about the economy. It's about, does it make sense in certain industries or not? And obviously, I'm looking up for professionals like you guys to help me and possibly open up other venues. Because I know having just an invention, that's great in itself, but you have to find avenues.
It has to become something that's realistic for the average person.
Correct. Yeah, you have to have a go-to-market strategy that makes sense. And that is basically the area that we are right now. We are looking for different markets. We're talking to different large retailers. And there are some challenges in front of us.
So it takes $5 worth of electricity. Can you run one of these things off of a solar panel for a third world country, or somebody who even has a shed or a she shack in their backyard that may not have electricity? Can it be powered by solar?
Yes, it can be powered by solar energy. And we had actually a cannabis indoor grower that utilized the same technology. The source of energy to our product, it doesn't matter if either it's solar or either if you're pulling the electricity from the wall, either you're using a generator to create that electrical need that we have. It doesn't matter to our product. We can utilize it. It's been done, and it's something that absolutely we can take it as long as we have that source of energy. We can utilize this product.
One thing I'd like for you to maybe talk about too is the difference between direct light and wavelength light, which is the main difference between grow lights for people that are out there growing whatever they're growing in their basements or closets versus the technology you've come up with.
It is, as far as the physics basics, never changes. It's always the same. Gravity is always gravity. All the basic formulas in physics, really, they don't change. So this is the same concept as far as AC versus DC, direct current versus alternating current. Waves are simply alternating lights. That is basically what it's a frequency that's alternating. Therefore, it doesn't dissipate. It doesn't turn to heat. Therefore, you can run this board 24/7 for 30 days, and it only consumes about $5 worth of energy. So the difference between direct dissipates to heat, and that's why it's costly and it has a lot of side effects, versus the AC alternating current, which is a wave form of alternating current that doesn't dissipate.
So this board can run 24 hours and you can go put your hand on it and it's not going to burn you or hurt you in any way.
And if you want to really totally understand it, is touch your regular light after 10 minutes. It could burn your hand.
Right.
This board, after 24 hours, after 30 days, running 24 hours a day, you can still touch it and you won't feel it much.
So it's safer.
Much safer, much safer. much safer.
And we've seen this thing, people, and let me tell you, it is bright. It's pretty fantastic when you turn it on and see the.
You almost need your sunglasses on.
Yeah,
You
I would
definitely,
agree.
when you turn it off and walk away, you see
bright.
spots.
It's quite wonderful.
I always make sure that for the first brush that somebody sees it first, they see that first. But it is not good really to stare at it for a long time. It could be damaging. So, but one time, just realizing that how powerful it is, we always let people look at it one time. But I always have my sunglasses ready.
I had mine ready too the first time.
I gave you pre-warning.
Thank goodness. Yeah, I'm a part vampire anyway. I always have my sunglasses next to me.
So with this kind of technology, and if with it being so bright, is this something that you could, we could switch out our light technology, for example, like a street light? Would that be consuming less energy for a street light, but would it be producing more light, and actually would it improve people's moods for people who live like in the Pacific Northwest when it's kind of depressing in the rain all winter long?
See, that's a great idea in itself. If you look at it, hey, let's just help people and reduce energy, right?
Right.
Great idea. Why aren't we doing it then?
I just read an article and I showed it to you yesterday, Manny, because when I saw you in the community room, because it kind of made me mad, but it was PG&E executives are going to get like over $11 million in bonuses this year, guys. Like, that's insane.
I know.
$11 million. And so here we have all this money going into what? All these fat guys, actually.
I know. We saw their pictures, 3 of them.
They need to grow food in their houses.
They have no need for cabbage. They don't eat vegetables.
But that's the truth, because we saw a picture. We're laughing
They were kind
about
of beef eaters.
That's the truth. And so... But it's so cool because we recently had James Kelly on, and he's an engineer as well, and he's working on the buoy here in the city to create renewable energy using the power of ocean waves. So they're creating this huge buoy that's over 800 tons, which is the size of a large building, people. So hopefully one of these buoys, they're testing it the next year. And if you haven't listened to that podcast, I highly recommend going back to it. But essentially, one of these buoys, it's enormous. If it works and all goes well, it'll power 1,200 homes of what we normally consume right now. Think about the possibilities using your light wave technology, switching it out, and instead of having to have hundreds of these huge buoys in the oceans, which... Let's be honest, if there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of these buoys in the ocean, what does that mean for the ocean? That's something that we probably wouldn't be able to test, the long-term effects of that. But if we were to able to switch out this kind of technology with the energy that we're using, how awesome. Then we would only need one buoy to power a small city rather than hundreds.
Absolutely. That is when geoelectric meets wave technology.
Yeah.
You'll have that powerful thing that you basically, with minimal consumption, and while you're just pulling it from a natural resource that's being wasted anyway, to light up the whole city. What a great idea.
To light up and feed the whole city. This is
Amazing.
shit that's changing the world, guys.
So
Amazing.
how challenging would it be for you to take what you've already produced and it's patented and turn that into street lamps or
just a smaller light?
Well, you know what? The technology is here. So we have the technology.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just having the technology by itself is not enough. You have to have investors. You have to have those major corporations.
And those ones are the ones that are going to fight you on it.
Correct. Because what are their incentives? Okay, great. We're going to put this wave lights all over the streets. Who's going to pay for it? The electrical company.
Let's shoot Leonardo
so they
DiCaprio
have to pay for it. And then they also get the cut back.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't get those $1 million bonuses.
Correct. And we are all running around happy. and they're losing their $1 million bonuses exactly. And we saw that. You showed me the article.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah.
So it's going to boil down to the any invention just to have a life in real life is that it boils down to the economy of it. And I do believe that there's lots of great inventions out there that has not really been popularized just because of that. And but you know what? It shouldn't stop us. I think we should just continuously keep thinking about it because this is a great product.
So have you had anybody offer to buy your invention so they could put it in a closet and say goodbye? We don't want this out there?
Well, we've had larger situations that they actually wanted to take the technology away. Actually, the manufacturer that started producing this product, they wanted to buy the patent from us, and we refused because we did not need really the money at the time, and it was our vision was much bigger than just that market. So the same thing that we're all thinking about, the same thing they were thinking about, was that just own the technology, and they're already manufacturing it. So
tell us a little bit too. I'm just now remembering the story about the airport and what you guys were doing with this technology at the airports.
Yeah. Well, initially, many years ago, when we came up with this technology, the idea was really utilizing the WAVE technology to manage the chemicals in our brain as far as motivating us to do workout or to get rid of a jet lag or just a mood change thing. Kind of like our idea was that at that time the massage chairs were really popular, they were coming out. So our idea was that, okay, if we have all these people, millions of people getting on the massage chairs, why not to give them a little gadget that has wave light technology, and we open up some of their sensors. And obviously, the eye being the top photosensors in human beings, that was our idea. So we were excited about it because it had very positive effects on myself and my business partner and people that we tested on.
Such as?
Well, we took it actually to the airports. We took it actually to 3 different airports and test marketed it. We had a booth, and our basically marketing thing was that it will get rid of your jet lag while you're getting massage. And so we eventually ended up with a litigation over being sued over somebody claiming that they couldn't sleep for days after using our lights.
Too much energy, right?
Too much. And again, it is one of those areas, again, I don't know how truthful that person was or what the case might have been, or just we ran into the wrong person. But we decided to fold that technology because, again, dealing with the daily retail consumer market, you are going to have those headaches.
Right.
And the last thing we wanted to have this kind of situations to deal with and legal situations. And plus, we weren't making any medical claim. We were basically talking about our own personal experiences with the product.
So tell us, what was your personal experience with this product?
My personal experience after doing it for the first time, I was so ready as far as physically. I felt like I could go out there and run a marathon.
So did you just sit in front of it at the beginning of the day? Is like what is it? This light that we've seen, that the big light, is that the one you sit in?
No,
front?
actually, that was very different. That's kind of different than this. We got that technology. We had waves flashing and moving. This is very, very waves are just hitting in a solid.
Okay, so you're at this point you're testing
almost
the
like
different
a light
levels
show.
of where it is.
It was like a light show. It has immense effect on your mood after going through it. And we were not recommending anybody to do it more than 10 minutes. So the massage chairs would sit for 10 minutes massage and 10 minutes light therapy. And that light therapy was basically based on the wave technology.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And great ideas. I mean, again, retail market, you got to be very careful with the retail market. There's lots of good products out there that they're all made for good intentions, but somebody finds a reason, and all you need is one lawyer.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, I mean, I imagine just the testing part of it must be a pain in the ass because you're going to always have that one that's.
And you have to be ready for it. You have to be ready
yeah.
for that litigation.
Exactly. And again, when it comes to the matters of mind and the lights and all kind of other things that is out there, it's not everybody has the same results out of either it is a substance or if it's a technology. Mm-hmm. We all have different results, and it has different effects on us. And I believe that the light and wave technology is the same thing. It's not any different than, let's say, for example, cannabis. Somebody smokes it and they're having a great time and laughing. Somebody may not.
Right.
So
exactly. It depends on your chemistry because everybody has different chemistry.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
It depends on what your brain chemistry is, and you could hit the wrong. Again, it has to always come up with the label, try it at your own risk.
Yeah, totally. Oh boy.
I'm always open to the ideas, guys. I mean, I know you guys are like think tank and you're business partners and you're always thinking, coming up with great ideas. I'm not looking for a home run. I'm not looking for it tomorrow. Let's do this great things, great solutions. I'm looking at long term. I mean, things could change.
Saving the planet.
Absolutely. Let's save the planet.
And feed the people.
I mean, one thing that I do want to go into an entire podcast about is talking about climate change. And I know that that's a very overwhelming subject for a lot of people, but we can break it down to how we can help individually. And having a garden within our home or even in our yards really does make a difference in fighting climate change. I mean, that's how we can make a difference. It's a big one.
Or even in a community, just imagine if we had 2 or 3 gardens just in our
Well, we have a
community.
homeless situation definitely happening. So we definitely need to feed more people. Absolutely.
Yeah, and another thing is that imagine that if you are a child and born into a family that they have their own in-house garden and you grow up as a kid with that culture, that would be...
Yeah, you're going to be passing that along to them, that information. It's teaching our kids how to be self-sustained.
Exactly.
And no matter who's in office right now, we can take our power back by sustaining our lives as much as we have the capabilities of doing so. Right?
Yeah, totally agree. And, I believe that, some of these inventions are not maybe overnight success, but when you look at decades down the road, then we all going to realize that, okay, what a great thing that was. And I think that eventually it's going to catch up with the home. I think your ideas of having home gardens may not be tomorrow or next few months, but I think in long term, I think it's coming. It's only a matter of the price point.
I think that we're about to approach our winter season in Portland, so it's going to be rainy. We had our fall hit us really early in September this year, so I think it's been a little bit more rough on everybody this year because we're like, oh, here we go. I wasn't quite ready for that. We wanted a few more warm days. But even just the possibility of having a room inside your house that's like your patio, essentially, because I live in an apartment, so I have a patio, to where it's light and you're nurturing your plants and you're going through that action and just being exposed to that kind of good food for you too. I mean, that really could change like everybody's attitude towards the winter season. Which maybe, who knows, suicide might go down. I mean, those are real, like, people fight with depression. So, not only growing your own food, but also just helping your mood just by being around that much more light would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the
absolutely.
action of, gardening itself is. And actually, we just had a guy on Granville from our local garden supply store, and we talked to him about it too. And he's very excited about the possibilities of watching a garden grow through the wintertime, to see what it does. Because his girlfriend, or his now wife, she grew up on a farm her whole life, and so she's been farming for her food for her whole life. And you and I actually talked a little bit about that in the community room yesterday. Tell everybody a little bit about what we were talking about with your childhood and how simple things were when you were little.
Oh, yeah. I grew up spending my summers 3 months a year at my grandparents' farm. My grandfather had grain farm, fruit tree farm, grape farms. He had wineries, massive properties in the countryside. And it wasn't just me. It was me, my brothers, sisters, and about 20 other cousins and nephews and nieces. We were out there. It was amazing because those are the best memories that I have from my childhood. Not the 9 months in the city going to school and hanging out with my friends. It was being in the country, being in those gardens, and picking up fruits and eating all day long, just surviving on fruit. It would get.
I remember doing that when I was little. It
was
awesome.
It was to a point we didn't have much adult supervision, so we would eat whatever we wanted off the ground. So I would eat so much grape that my teeth in the afternoon, I couldn't bite it anymore because of all the acids and everything. I couldn't feel my mouth. So amazing time, and we had no electricity. We had no running water. We lived on bringing the water from the well, and we had horses and donkeys for transportation. There was no electricity, and that's why I decided to go become an electrical engineer.
That's awesome. I can understand that.
There was no electricity in the village, so we would go to bed like at sunset and then wake up at sunrise. But life was amazing. It was some of the best memories that I have is from that time.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine.
I think people are trying to get back to that more simple, slowed down way of life. I know my children who are both in Indiana, my daughter is really into sustainable living, and this light, I think, would be something that she would be jumping all over to figure out how to grow her food all winter in Indiana, and it's already cold there, really cold.
Oh, no, I think that you're right. I do think that people are steering back towards that, but don't really know how. I think that's one of the big problems is people don't know how to get there. So hopefully we can figure out a way this winter to make that happen and show everybody that it is possible. But I mean, it's exciting to think about opening this up to so many people. And then once people are realizing that this is sustainable, I mean, and it's not going to be easy. It's not, I wouldn't even say so much that it's going back to the simpler times in life because you work your fucking ass off. You just enjoy it more because you're in the sun and you're with your garden and your family and you're playing, it becomes part of your life, but you definitely have to, till your garden. You can't just plant a seed and then walk away.
There's some parts of the world that just because of this space and geographical conditions, it right now it makes sense. Like for example, Antarctica. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is really, they could use this product.
Oh yeah.
They have to import everything, and then even when they import, they're not fresh. Most of them are frozen. And imagine if they could just, being in Antarctica and get the same fruit and vegetables right next door to you, better than Florida and whatever else that in U.S.
Have you talked to the military, like aircraft carriers? I can imagine them having a grow garden on their little floating cities.
Yeah, that's completely another conversation because we have massive concern about getting involved with any government, either it's U.S. government or a foreign government. Just simply, we feel that it's not the right direction for us.
Why is that, Manny?
Generally, governments try to manipulate and use any product that they get their hands on for purpose of domination and controlling either the masses in their own country or outside. And show me one government that you can honestly say that they're amazing. They've done all the right things. One government right now on face of this earth.
I don't think I can give you one.
It's all silence.
Now, let me ask you this. Tell me how many politicians, world leaders, right now are responsible for death, wars, ongoing problems, and mass destructions right now.
Oh,
Lots of them. Almost all of them.
A lot of the ones that are in power right now.
Almost all of them. Either they're making weapons or they're selling weapons or they're using those weapons.
It's all about money.
Exactly. And I personally believe that any invention, governments get their hands on it. Eventually, they're going to find an evil way of controlling it. Our product was not developed on any government money, was not developed on any government assistance. This was completely independent. The research, the development, the prototypes that we went through, the failures that we went through, the final product, no government has put a penny investment into our research and development. So, and I gotta tell you that, I'm patriotic, so is my business partner, Mr. Martin. He's a very patriotic man, but we just don't believe in governments, really.
Governments to specifically just and to control your machine or your invention and to have say so over what can and cannot be done. Regulations. Or okay, this could be a disruptive technology to our delicate balance we have right now in our economy, there's lots of things out there. I do believe that they keep secrets from us. And not just our government in here. I think across the world, the governments are keeping secrets from their population. So why hand them another great tool?
I agree.
Thank God for free thinking and free, technologies that are out there are being, invented. Freely, man and woman out there working really hard to create that. Governments aren't doing that. Governments aren't in that business.
Well, and that's why we're doing this podcast too, is actually to inform, to educate the public, or just at least to inform them that there are these things that are happening and you can take your power back.
And that there are things being invented that nobody even
talks about,
knows
about.
Absolutely.
Or
yes.
even realizes what any of these problems that exist around us are, where they're stemming from, what's going on. I have this whole new theory a little bit about Portland. I've come up with this saying called be a nice hole. And I actually came up with that because I've been a driver in Portland. And I think that I live in a city of nice holes. And so what I mean by nice holes, it's the exact opposite of an asshole. So they're being so nice that they kind of just really aren't paying attention to what's happening around them, like whatsoever, or the economy of movement or flow whatsoever. All they're thinking about is being nice, stopping so that person can cross in the middle of the block. Or when you get the 4-way stop sign, they're always like, you go, no, you go, it's cool, you go, no, we'll all just sit here.
Or we all meet in the middle and then we all back out.
Yeah.
I know.
Anyways, but just coming up with this whole thing and being a nice hole, living in Portland, I've been lately thinking, because I've been learning so much more about my community since we've been doing these podcasts. So I've been asking a lot more questions, and now I'm starting to really see kind of the grimy corners of Portland. Like I can see Portland is magical and wonderful, but then I'm also like, who signed the fucking check in Portland to bring in truckloads of boulders so that homeless couldn't camp out on a corner? That was a waste of money. That's like, I heard that it was over $1 million. I will be fact checking that. I will be looking up to see if we can get any information on that, because that seems like a complete waste to me, because they're obviously going to just camp, 50 meters from the big boulders. Anyway, I just so I wanted to kind of call out some people in Portland. It's like they're so afraid of offending somebody that they're really oblivious to what's really going on in Portland. And I think that's probably the case in a lot of communities out there. I think that people don't educate themselves enough about what bans are set in place. For example, recently I heard that Florida lifted their bans on having yard gardens. There was a ban. There should never have been a ban in the first place in Florida, but they had just lifted that ban. So how aware are we really of how much control that they have, in our community? So I highly recommend everybody do a little homework and research on that. We're going to definitely be doing that in Portland. But like in Oregon at one point, I think I'm going to see about this. Can we collect rainwater? Is it illegal to collect rainwater, which is insane? Like this one old man.
Go to jail.
This old man had property in Southern Oregon, and he dug like a pond. He dug the hole, and then it collected rainwater and it made a pond, and he went to jail for it.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No.
Wow. What are they, on what
This
grounds?
was years ago. So, but the thing is that these are things that have been happening, like the bans for yard gardens in Florida, like going to jail for collecting rainwater. These things are actually happening, you guys. So we need to start waking up about the reality of where our money's going. Start asking the hard questions to our politicians that are in office, because they are signing these checks. We have the ability to look up all this information and make change. We can take our power back.
So they think the boulders all over the city are much more attractive?
Oh my God, they're hideous. Because they've put really a horrible job of concrete around them so that they don't roll into the freeway, which I'm thinking in my head is going to crack and going to roll anyway into the freeway, and that's going to be a future accident on the 405 or...
Wow.
People are making stupid decisions that are able to sign big checks. And when we can come up with solutions as a community to actually help our community at a pretty damn low cost. Yeah. So, and this is one of those things. So
yeah, and Portland certainly has the resources to take care of some of those
and they have
problems.
the community that cares as well. I do think that a lot of people do care here, but it's disappointing when you hear about some neighborhoods are all for fighting homeless and all of these, they're tree huggers, hippies, right? But they're like, but not in my neighborhood. So I hate that mentality. We got to get past that for sure, because we can help each other. We can have these community gardens. We can have these tiny homes for, as stepping stones to help homeless get off the street. So we all have these abilities to provide things at a very low cost, actually, to the city, and it would look much better.
There are great ideas out there that we are learning about. Like Naomi said, the more of these podcasts we do, the more information comes flowing at us, which is fantastic. And we are the connectors of information. But like the tiny homes for homeless, that community could potentially use one of these lights with a solar panel to
I think it's
grow their own food.
Absolutely.
I bet that $1 million that they spend on boulders could have built lots of tiny homes.
That's why I want to do my homework, because now I'm learning about all of these things, and I'm like, okay, these are not making sense. So it's how can we, in a realistic way, stand up for ourselves, fight for our community, care about each other.
Well, part of it is sparking the conversation.
Well, also, you got to get to your homework. That's a big one too. You got to look it up and go, hey, what bans are set in place in my community? You got to ask the questions.
And then you've got to be brave and bold enough to ask the questions.
Yeah, you're like, why are you writing checks for $1 million when? It's like those no-brainer moments. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, there's a lots of money. Portland, the way Portland has grown past several years, with all these people have moved in, all the development, the taxes that are levied over these properties, and every time you get a permit, city is cashing in. There's so much money right now poured in this city. This is one of the richest cities in U.S. at this point. As far as I'm concerned, the government in this city is wealthy, and they're not investing the money correctly.
No, you can tell.
Buying $1 million worth of, just garbage and throw it in the middle of city just to deter, and try to mask the problem.
They're trying to
solution.
Yeah, it is. Nobody's come up with a solution as far as I'm concerned yet.
Yeah.
We're working
we
on
might.
it.
I actually, that kind of, that wraps, let's just go ahead and wrap this one up because this actually leads into how I wanted to end this one. But thank you, Manny, for inventing that. I think it's fucking awesome.
And we're going to help you put it to use.
We're going to put our heads together because I think it's wonderful. And I do think that people are ready to make a stand for themselves. And I think that even if because I am one of them, if you live in an apartment and you want to be self-sustained as much as you possibly can, yet being connected to the grid, then I'm all for it. And I want to show other people that they can do it as well. So I'm on board with you. You have my support.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, guys, for the opportunity. I enjoyed talking to you guys and spread the word out there.
Oh, yeah. I've been talking about it.
We're open to new ideas, new avenues, new ways of getting the product out there to the right people for the right reasons. And let's have some success.
Yeah, and if anybody has any questions for Manny, shoot us an email. You can contact him on therealshit.net, info@therealshit.net.
And we might be able to put some information up about these lights so you can see what they actually do.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was going to get all the information that we have on the product, schematics, the design. Not too details on the electronic side, but in this, just the surface design and some of the data sheets on it that we have. And also, I would like you guys to load some of the pictures of the growth that we've had, different garden successes.
Yeah, that would be great.
So I'll give you the full-blown marketing things, and I'll email those things to you guys.
Okay, perfect.
And you can post it on your site, and any of your listeners want to get more information, they can come exactly through your website. We see each other almost every day.
Yeah, we do. We're neighbors.
Yeah, we're neighbors.
We'll figure out the connection.
Yeah, we know where you live.
Absolutely. No, we load you guys with enough information for anybody that's interested. Just go ahead, explore. We are also open to discussions.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're stoked. All right. So before we let you go, we definitely like to end our podcast with something that we've learned, something that we did this week. A story, and that was going to actually lead into my story this week because it was a really amazing moment for me. And so I was driving for Uber one morning, Lyft and Uber, and I pick up this woman, and she's in my car for a good 30 minutes, and we're going to the airport. And this last week, I just have been thinking a lot about the homeless because I'm very exposed to them every day out on the road. And I was really thinking about the solution and how, really coming up with a plan, a real legitimate plan with the facts on why, how we can help, how we can make a difference with the homeless. And I started talking about it with this woman, and she's like, I was just having this conversation last night with my husband, and she's like, this is some of the ideas that I had. So what ended up happening after 30 minutes was two strangers were sitting in a car together. We were talking about the problems that we face in the world and in our community, most importantly, because that's what we want to start with is our community. And so when she gets back into town this next week, we're all going to get together with our laptops and we're going to come up with a plan.
Global domination, Manny.
But the cool thing is that we have members of our community that don't know each other willing to get together, go have some dinner somewhere and ask the questions, to have the conversation. It's got to start somewhere. So I felt that was really neat. that happened to me. So Heather, hi. We'll be seeing you soon. Lori, did anything cool happen to you this week? I know it did because you went to the beach.
I went to the beach and I had many self-reflective moments between the moonlight and the ocean. But I want to share something that happened to me yesterday as I was hanging out in Newport. It was so beautiful, and I just couldn't pull myself out of the town there to sit in traffic, basically, which is what I would be doing had I left Newport at 1 p.m. So I hung around until 5, and I had a beautiful meal overlooking the seals and the sea lions and listening to them bark and watching the male domination that goes on there because it's only the males that migrate up. The females stay in California because they're smart. But that was fascinating watching that. And then I just walked up and down the street, me and my little dog, Brody Mans, and I stopped in a few stores. We can talk about that later. And there was this gentleman that I saw walking the street. And I would guess that he was homeless or maybe down on his luck a little bit. And I kept walking. And the next thing I knew, we came head on and we crossed paths. And we looked at each other, and he turned around and started talking to me. And then we started talking, and we were walking down the street together talking. And I found out that this gentleman was a Air Force veteran. He'd served overseas in 4 conflicts, Bosnia, Somalia. I can't remember the other 2 off of the top of my head. And we just had kind of a nice little interaction and chat, and he pet Brody. And then we went on our merry way. I ended up at this beautiful little spot that was overlooking the bay to do some wine tasting, even though it's sober October. Sorry, I was at the ocean. I'm gonna have a little sip. And the next thing I know, this same gentleman comes up. And he goes and grabs a glass of wine, and he sits down and talks to me again. And initially, I want to be alone, don't bother me, I'm just watching nature kind of flag went up. And then I softened, and I remembered that there's a human being sitting right next to me. And I come to find out that this man has a degree in music. He plays trumpet, piano. He's served our nation, retired from the Air Force, and he's played with the Blue Man Group.
How cool.
How cool is that? And if I had just put my blinders on and ignored him because of the way his clothes were presenting, I would have missed out on that opportunity to bond with Bruce. So, Bruce, if you're out there, God love you, Brother Bear. Good luck.
Did he tell you his story of where he's at right now?
He actually works at the fish place across the street where they fillet cod and the lady that was running the wine tasting helped him get into VA housing. So he is in VA housing and he is employed.
So is he suffering from PTSD?
I did not go there with him.
Yeah.
I did not go there with him.
I imagine.
He was pleasant. He had 1 glass of wine and went about his business.
Awesome.
So, yeah. So, hey, Bruce.
Amazing story. Actually, I lived in downtown Portland for about 2 years. And if you have lived in downtown Portland for 2 years, you obviously have encountered homeless right and left. And not judging a book by its cover, I had the same encounter, not exactly like yours, but mine was that this gentleman that was completely homeless with some kind of mental problem and everything. We happened sitting next on the same bench for a while, and I started talking to him, and I was fascinated in his knowledge on quantum physics, mathematics, science. And we sat there and I realized that I'm talking to him for an hour and a half. And I had one of the best conversations. But, he had his own issues.
Right.
And he was homeless. So there's lots of them out there that are great, outstanding
Great minds,
people.
great minds.
Well, we see those videos sometimes emerge from like some lady singing opera at the top of her lungs beautifully, or playing
Angelical
the piano,
voice.
or the drums out of pots and pans and and buckets. So I mean, the thing is that we've got to notice each other a little bit more and make more eye contact, because these are humans, they're people, they're out there. They have, they're just down on their luck, but we got to care. We have to give a shit.
We all have our story.
Yeah. And my thing to share with all of you for this week is not like an incident or something, just something that I've been thinking lately a lot about, is that as human beings, we all have our own desires. We always want this, that, the best house, amazing car, that boat. Or I want to fall in love with the best looking person in the world. I want to find the richest woman or man or whatever it is that we're all looking for. And we always think that if I had just this or that, I'd be happier. And that is the virtue that I'm looking for. Ultimately, my realization is that the biggest virtue of all is time. The time is so precious and so limited that even wasting one day, half a day, couple of hours will be the biggest mistake. And some of those ways is that when we bring ourselves down because of some dumb things that we don't have and think so much about it, contemplate on that. So the most precious thing is the time. So capitalize on that and enjoy now. And throw those positive protons out every day and get out there, do whatever you need to do, get yourself up and running. So because time is limited.
Yeah, I mean, when we lose someone through death, we remember those little moments with that person usually. So it's to cherish those little moments every day, because tomorrow is never promised.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, be here now. It's a good one. All right. Thank you, Manny. I like that. Thank you, Lori, so much. It was really fun to essentially talk about the world's problems and how we can solve them.
One problem at a time.
One light at a time.
Or, at least putting some effort. So check out our podcast and our products. We've got a couple campaigns running on therealshit.net. Like I said, if you want to reach out to Manny or to us, just shoot us an email through our website at therealshot.net. And don't forget to...
Be a nice hole.